Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to work on the car a little bit in practice and get a chance to see if we can come up with some new things or some better, a little bit better setup. Because when it rains and you don't get a lot of practice, you kind of tend to fall back on, past setups and stuff that were successful, and you'd like the opportunity to get out on the track and see if you can find some new ideas.
All right. Wants to start off? Please raise your hand, name and affiliation. Jeff?
Jeff Glove from SBNation.com. I think it was last week you touched on this, and you kind of indicated that maybe you wish you could have done something a little bit different here with Harvick in the spring. Did you mean that in the sense that there's something on the track, a different move you could have made or something just to hold him off, or do you just regret kind of the circumstances of it, of how it played out? Or, as you come back here, what are your thoughts about how that went down?
I think I could have done a better job putting laps together when I got the lead. As the car started getting freer and freer into the corner, I probably could have tried to run a little more front brake, do some things like that to try to balance my car out a little bit better. And maybe he would have eventually still probably caught us, but he would have caught us with less laps to go, and we might have been able to actually compete with him a little bit more. So you don't really know what you could have done. He won the race, and we ran second, and that's just the way it is. But when you come close, from my experience and what I've always done is when you do come close to winning one, you think about what you could have done differently. It doesn't matter how long ago the race was, or where it was at, or whatever, or how much it meant. How big a deal it was, or how small a race it was, whatever. You always want to come out on top, and when you come really close, you don't forget about it. And when you're reminded about the race, you think about, you kind of go back in your head about what happened and what could have, what things you might do differently if you get an opportunity. Harvick had a really, really good race car, and was just really, really fast that last run. But you'd like to think you'd like to think you could always done something better, done something different.
Claire
Belang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Dale, Jeff Burton said that this track, out of all the tracks, is the one that makes him the most frustrated and is the hardest to sort of contain his frustration when you're in the car and you're being passed time after time, or you're trying to pass someone. You're sort of slow to anger in the car as far as aggression on anyone else. Did you have to learn that? Do you feel that here at Martinsville?
I think what happens is I get as angry on any Sunday, no matter what racetrack it is. But at Martinsville, whoever you're angry at is likely within reach. And so it's hard to contain yourself, to do the right thing, to do the professional thing, to act accordingly, whatever you want to call it. That's where you sort of get in the gray area and struggle, within yourself about what to do. Most times you don't have the opportunity to, so readily retaliate on somebody at the bigger tracks or wherever else. But here, if a guy gets into you, more than likely you'll have the next corner to give it back to him, and sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, and it just depends on who it is and how badly you think they used you up, and whether you liked them to begin with. So, it's really hard to contain yourself, and you have to think down that next straightaway whether you want to do something. What do you want to do, and are you going to, look like an ass doing it? So you just have to make that call.
Justin?
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. You did the tire test here. I'm guessing you were probably on the tires that they're using this weekend. How different is it from what was here in the spring? And if there isn't practice today, cars can't get on the track Saturday morning because the weather looks iffy. How dramatic of a change is this going to be for everybody else?
Well, I thought the test went really good, and I was totally in tune with everything that was going on and what they had chosen up to about 3 weeks after that test, and I've completely forgotten everything about it since then. But as far as I can recall, the tire that they decided to go with, and I could be wrong, is the Martinsville or the Watkins Glen tire. And I thought the tire was great at Watkins Glen, and which I hope we can take it to Sonoma next year. And I thought at the test it was remarkable here, and hopefully I don't think that we're going to have any wear issues if we don't get the track rubbered up good. I think that the truck race will go off tomorrow and, likely get the track in better shape. It's when there's not a lot of rubber on this track, you do have wear, but it's just really slick. But rubber gets laid down pretty quickly, and we shouldn't have any problems. I'm sure, though, that NASCAR will probably do a competition yellow if we don't get any laps on the racetrack today and tomorrow, just erring on the side of safety. But I don't even think it's necessary. I think it's a great tire. I'm one of the first ones to be critical when it's not, and I really like this one. I think it might be the best tire they've ever made. So hopefully we can have a good race on Sunday and keep progressing and take this type of whatever's working with this tire, get it spread throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, the left side tire was run here.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. I think that I didn't not when we were all at the test. Some guys, not everybody ran on all the tires. Some guys ran. Say there were 5 sets of tires, just by hypothetical. Some guys only ran 3 sets. Some guys, everybody didn't see everything, but from what I could tell, this was a great combination. What we had brought back, and it was just miles better than anything else we had been running here. Even the tire we ran here last time, as far as I could tell. So I take full credit for whatever happened Sunday, I suppose, good or bad.
Got Melinda and Mike Mulhern.
Hey, Dale. Melinda Adams, ESPN. I have a World Series question, trying to see if you watched the game last night, if you did, what you thought, and if you have any predictions for tonight.
No, I didn't watch it.
See, I said you watched it. David said you
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I like the Braves, and if the Braves are in the World Series, I'd watch it. But otherwise, I guess I'm pulling for Texas. I think that, I don't know why. I don't know. I like the Braves.
Mike.
Mike Muller.net. Start thinking about a Halloween costume. I think that question's coming up pretty soon. We've had Talladega. We've got the Daytona 500 coming up. You've had 4 races of these tandem, whatever they are. You don't like them. A lot of people don't like them. You're a guy that knows what it takes to run at Daytona and Talladega. What's your suggestion for NASCAR? I mean, they're looking for suggestions. Give them
Really?
some suggestions.
Well, we sort of, we need to go test. We need to take a lot of race cars out there and test a lot of things, and get creative and unique in the ideas, and get everybody on the same package and really go thoroughly through it. We have 3 days or whatever of testing in Daytona, and to be honest, you don't really do a lot while you're testing in Daytona. You got 3 days, so you fill it up with ideas and gimmicks and carry on, but you don't really find things that bring a lot of speed. You got a rule package in the back of the car as far as shocks and springs, and you got such stringent guidelines on the bodies. I mean, there's not a lot of things to do in 3 days, so really it's just you're burning fuel and wasting a lot of time. When we go to Talladega, you put the car together, you unload it, you make a couple laps, make sure nothing falls off, and you're ready to race. So there's not much to it. So we could take those 3 days, or invent another test more sooner, and take 15 cars or whatever, go down there and go to Daytona or Talladega. I think whatever works at one will work at the other, and try smaller spoilers. I think the spoiler's way too big. When I look at that spoiler, I just think that it was. I can't imagine there was a whole lot of study that went behind how effective it would be and what it would do. It's just a big square piece of steel, as wide as it can possibly be, and pretty tall. So make the spoiler more narrow, more smaller. Maybe run some softer springs in the back to get the cars a little lower. They have to make the hole that we punch in the air a little smaller. Right now it's so giant that, it's very easy for another guy to fit up in that void and draft and push all the way around the racetrack. And they need to sort of bring the ceiling down that the car creates by the hole it pushes in the air. The car just punches a hole in the air, and they need to bring that hole down closer to the ground, bring the ceiling down. Get a little bit more air on the second car's windshield, cause a little more drag on that car. I think the spoiler is just way too big. The point, the corners on the ends, they could cut them off and round that spoiler off. Look at, going back to, anywhere from 98 to 2004, that type of spoiler was a little bit better, even smaller than that. These cars don't really, we've detuned the cars to where they go very slow, and we've also resurfaced the racetracks to where they have a lot of grip. So you could really, take quite a bit away from the spoiler on the back of the car before I believe you'd start to feel the handling effects of that. And otherwise, all that thing does is really just trying to drag it down. And I think hopefully we'll get fortunate, and the fuel injection will throw a few curveballs in the positive aspect that'll change the drafting and change the way the cars work in the draft. You never know, and it might not change anything, but maybe those, going to the fuel injection might have some positive effects. So, but I think the biggest thing is definitely the spoiler being as giant as it is, as big as it is. It's really just creating such a big hole in the air. The greenhouse in the cars was enlarged when we went to the COT, and that's a bit of that has an effect on it as well. But we're not going to change that and make that smaller. So, coming down off the making that spoiler smaller, especially the width of it, will help a lot. And there's if you kind of go in reverse and look at how things have happened, it makes a lot of sense. They've sort of detuned the cars so much that they qualified 181 miles an hour. They still drafted around 195 to 200. Well, even when we were qualifying in the above 190, we only still drafted it around the same speeds we draft now. So that's really not really making things different or helping the situation. So I think we can get the cars, take the spoiler away, get the back down a little bit with some softer springs or whatever, and different shock package in the back or whatever, and make the cars a little more tougher to connect to. It creates when you do those two things, it'll create a little bit of a beach ball effect in between the cars, like it's an imaginary beach ball in front of you. When you try to drive up to a guy, you kind of push him away, and we'll be able to open up the motors a little bit and get to qualifying a little faster and have a little more response in the cars when we're racing and driving them. But yet we still probably won't draft faster than we do now.